Hi guys, I'm Ed Clarke, and today I'm doing another episode of my Learn That Lick series where I play a lick, explain how to play it, but more importantly kind of talk about how I would implement it in a solo. Before I get into it, please make sure you like and subscribe. It's a very easy thing for you guys to do and it makes a huge difference to the success of the channel. So, from that intro solo, I want to focus on this lick. Pretty simple, let's be honest, but I think it can be very, very effective. So what I'm essentially doing here is taking, in this case in the key of B minor, I'm taking the fourth, bending up to a fifth, pretty classic. But then I'm pushing it one semitone further to turn it into a minor third bend. After that, on the way back down, I go back to that normal single tone bend, but instead of just going down to it, which A is a little bit out of tune, but more importantly, lacks a little bit of expression. It's a bit too clinical. It kind of just sounds like a when, which is fine, but I want a little bit more expression. So what I'm going to do is bend it down past the original bend and then back up. By which I mean, now obviously that was really exaggerated, but if I do it more subtly, it becomes quite fluid. Again, slower. Now, it can be quite difficult to do in tune, especially slowly, as I've probably just proven. But when done fast, you can kind of get away with it. And even better, the more you practice, the more in tune it's going to be. I am not going to pretend that I have it down perfectly yet. Now, there's a few ways you can approach this lick, both in how it's played and how it's implemented. So first, I'm going to have a look at how it's played. So you can do this as I have just done it there, with all bends, crucially with only one pick right at the start. You could pick more, so often when I've done this in a slow ballad kind of context, I'll do a second pick to go to that extended minor third bend. And in that case, another pick afterwards. There isn't really a right or wrong, it's just kind of what feels right in the moment. That one tends to be more aggressive. If you do it without all the picks, then it becomes a lot more fluid. But you can also approach this as a tone bend and then fretting one fret higher. I've heard people like Joe Bonamassa and of course Matt Long do things like this, and it's just a slightly different flavour. So it's a very similar process. You do the first bend, but instead of bending it further, you just use your pinky to hammer on. You just use your pinky to fret that next note. Now, of course, what comes after it is crucial. This is how you make it your own. I'll give you a few examples, but obviously there is no right or wrong in this. So I will often do something like this. And that's just after you finish it, you bend the string up without picking it, pick it when it's bent up and bend it down. So not bend it first, then pick it. Kind of a Chris Buck style thing. You can also just use it to add more interest to a very simple but classic lick. So the one I'm thinking of, this one. Classic pentatonic lick. Starting, if you're in B, on the 9th fret, bending up to the 11th, bending back down, pulling off to the 7th, and then playing on the next string down, on the D string, the 9th fret again. Classic lick, used all over the place by every player under the sun, but if we add that little flourish of the extra bend, it becomes more interesting. So it starts like this. Why not make it into this? Now, of course, you can use this in other places. I find it particularly useful in that particular place, which is starting on the 4th, bending up to the 5th, and then making it the minor 6. You could do this elsewhere. It obviously works an octave up. Make it a motif if you want, use it all over the place. It also works in the 4th position of the pentatonic, so in case of B, we're talking about here. So in this case, you'd be doing the 17th fret bend. Now, obviously, while it works very, very well in that particular place on the scale, you need to be a little bit careful. If I were to do it on the next string over, in the same pentatonic, you'd be actually bending to the root, going 1 semitone higher than the root, and then back to the root. Might be interesting in certain contexts, but probably not very bluesy. So if our root's here, probably don't want that note in the way. You end up with this kind of vibe. Maybe that's your thing, I don't know. Similarly, if I go 1 fret more, that works a little bit better. It's still a little bit questionable because you end up with a kind of diminished interval by putting the F in there. But again, in the right context, maybe that'll work really well for you. Maybe that's your thing. Now, this takes quite a lot of practice to just get the hand movement correct. It is a lot of just listening to make sure you're in tune. Like I said earlier, I'm not pretending that I've got this down to an absolute T. I can definitely improve it, and I will continue to do so. But just to get that flourish in there, even if it's not quite in tune, it can really add a lot of interest. Another way I might use this is to use the blues note as well. So obviously, because I'm sitting there on the 4th, the flat 5 is only 1 fret higher. So if I were to do this lick followed by a blues note, you'll end up having all 4 of these notes. Starting there, up to the 5th, up to the minor 6th, back to the 5th, back down to the 4th, and then slide the blues note. Adding chromaticisms like that can be really, really interesting in solos. In any case, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure you hit that like button and subscribe with the bell icon ticked to be notified of new videos. Have yourself a great day, and I'll see you next time.